everyone.
Good morning.
You guys sing? Okay. Welcome to Unity Church. We're going to begin our service. If everyone will please affirm with me our affirmation for this last Sunday in February. Let's say it together. I am love. I express love easily and graciously each day. I am grateful. And now we're going to sing our song by Faith Rivera, Stand Together. Whoa. Yeah, and she's a styling lady, you might have noticed. So anyway, we'd love it. So that's what I'm going to highlight for you. Nan Napua is going to read for us today's daily word. And Miss Napua Elizabeth, however you want to call her, whatever. She's also, she's our candidate for our board of directors today, too. So you get to vote her in, or not.
Or not, whatever.
Yeah.
God's will. Okay. Today's daily word is protected. I am safe and protected by ever-present Christ consciousness. Scientists say some parts of the spectrum of light, infrared and ultraviolet, cannot be seen by humans. Nevertheless, they exist. Similarly, Christ consciousness is present at all times, even though I cannot see it. When life is going well, I can easily see the divine in the people and circumstances around me. When circumstances are not to my liking, a spiritual perspective may be more difficult. I take a deep breath and relax into the consciousness of Christ, the inner knowledge of the divine that is always with me. In prayer, I call forth the Christ within to help me see differently any situation I am experiencing. I am reassured knowing that I am safe and protected by the living, loving presence of the Christ working in and through my life. And remember, I am always with you to the end of the age. Matthew 28:20. Again, today's daily word is protected, and our affirmation is, I am safe and protected by ever-present Christ consciousness. Together? I am safe and protected by ever-present Christ consciousness.
And now is the time where I invite you to visualize our sanctuary as a beautiful heart. So let's see this heart moving in and around and through us and filling our whole center here with that love, the caring and compassion that you have for yourselves, each other, and your family, and our world. So take a moment to just breathe in, breathing into this heart, filling it with love. And in these moments, if you know of anyone in need of prayer or any circumstance in our world in need of prayer, let us see them in our heart as we sing the prayer for protection. And I invite you now to visualize and to go into that secret place of the Most High God in you and close the door. And we do this by breathing, taking a deep breath, that very breath of life that is God. And we hold it for a moment. And we exhale, beginning to relax. Breathing in again deeply. And exhaling this time, we just quiet our mind. We calm our emotions. And we allow ourselves to be here right now, in this holy moment. Breathing in again deeply. And exhaling right now, we rest in the consciousness of our heart. We truly know that right here and right now, this is our time. Our time of reconnecting with the God of our being. We are blessed. We are fulfilled. We're healthy, whole, and well. Today is a new day. This moment is all we have. Let us bring into this moment thoughts of gratitude and thanksgiving, of abundance and prosperity in every way. And in these moments, let us reconnect with that energy, that life force that says, you are special to me in ways that you do not know. These moments are a time to trust in the God of your being, however you see God. To know that that loving presence is in you, right here and right now in every way. Allow that spiritual understanding and awakening to be in you now. As we go into a time of quiet prayer. Allow this energy, this light, this force of God in you to blossom, to fairly spring forth with new life in every cell of your being. Allowing the God of your being to fill you, to nurture you and love you right here and right now in the silence. And now we take another deep breath. And as we exhale, we just know that God is a source of our supply in every way. That at any moment of any day, we can reconnect with this energy, this life force. We open our mind and our heart to this life, to this energy, to spirit. And we say, yes, I am here. With gratitude from the tips of our toes to the top of our head and every cell in between. We say, thank you, God, for life, for all the energy in and around and through us that is for our best and highest good. And so it is. Amen. thank Larry for that, and he's going to play for us again during the offertory. So we're just so blessed that you're here today. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. He's happy to be here. We love it. How is everyone today? Fantastic, Kathy says. Yay, 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 yay. So how many of you remember that this is the Lenten season? Oh, look at all of you. And what do you normally do during this season of Lent? Give up something. What else did you say, Jim?
Eat candy.
Eat candy. Oh, right. Right. Have fun. Oh, Doc said that. Say extra prayers? Who said that? Who said something else? Josephine. I heard you. What'd you say?
Say extra prayers, no extra good deeds instead of sacrificing to give.
Yes, give more. Yeah, and so how many of you grew up in a religion where you did give up something? And was it anything that really challenged you? For the age bracket, it probably was, because it was candy, chocolate, bubble gum, not fighting with your siblings, not talking back to your parents. And those could be very difficult to an 8 or 9-year-old, right? In those moments. Well, when I think back to those times, was it ever really clear of why we did it? It was for Sharon, yes. So for me, I don't remember, except I was supposed to be sacrificing something that was important to me. But why? So I could look good in the eyes of God? So I could be like Jesus? I don't know. That part kind of escaped me. As I was working on this lesson, it was like, so why did I give up those things? What was it about? So if we look at the Bible stories about Jesus' life in this time of the Lenten season, he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, and then he went into the wilderness. And that time, metaphysically, 40 is a completion. It's a square, 40, 40, 40. And the reason that he did this is, how many of you have fasted before? Many of us. And how does it feel after you get over the initial not eating food? You love it. You're lighter. You feel more connected. Renee's shaking her head. No, that's not what happens for her. And maybe we don't ever get over the food part, right? And maybe you feel weak. Sometimes do you feel weak? Absolutely. So picture doing this for, quote unquote, 40 days and 40 nights. That's a long time to be fasting spiritually from food. And so when Jesus then was in the wilderness, what happened? He was tempted. Do you ever get tempted? Every day of my life. There's always something that I could do better when I review the day at the end of the day. Do you ever do that? Take a review of the day and think, oh, I could have said this, or I could have done this, or not eaten that, or maybe done this, exercise a little more. All those things that we review at the end of the day. So when Jesus went into the wilderness, it's really a short version in this particular Bible that I have. And it's from Matthew, and it says, then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. And he fasted 40 days and 40 nights, and afterward he was hungry. Enough said, right? 40 days and 40 nights. And the tempter came to him and said to him, if you are the Son of God, command these stones to become loaves of bread. But he answered, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. And so when you think about this time and this season of Lent, it is a holy time. It's a time where we connect with that spiritual side of ourselves consciously. Joe and I went and saw that movie Risen the other day. And it was from the perspective of one of the Roman soldiers about after the crucifixion and what might have occurred. And I never thought of it this way, that Pontius Pilate wanted to find this body of Jesus because they were afraid that really he would come back to life and change everything. And so he was still a threat, even after he had died. And then he rose, and guess what happened? Even the disciples who were his believers and followers did not believe in him. It was a very powerful message in the movie, was that no matter what we see or think or know to be true, we will doubt it. Because we have that in us as well. And so to know that metaphysically, when we interpret this story in the Bible, that when you're hungry and thirsting for spiritual knowledge, that if you're tempted by the devil, and in unity we don't talk, there is no devil. There's only one presence and one power, and that presence is God. And the devil is just our negative thinking, the adversarial part of us, that how when you're doing really good, eating well, exercising, and you're feeling fabulous, and all of a sudden you go back to your old way of acting and behaving? Do you ever do that? Or you say you're not going to watch TV for a while? Or you're not going to do this, or you're going to do all the things that we tell ourselves that we need to do. We become tempted again by our old behaviors, our old ways of thinking, our old ways of acting. And also when we're on a spiritual quest, we also may have issues that come up that have been there. And I have often said to myself, I thought I was over this. I thought I already handled this. But in truth, we hear, it's the peeling of the onion, the different layers and the different levels of consciousness that we embrace to make the changes in our lives. So when we hear this story and the devil, the old ideas of whatever Jesus was raised with, were tempting him to perform a miracle and to make these stones turn into bread. And Jesus said, no, we just don't live by bread alone. But we take those stones, and metaphysically they mean foundation. So he was making a firmer foundation because, according to Scripture, he knew what was coming towards him. And he knew what he was going to have to be doing. So he wanted to be extremely prepared for that event. We see it every year with the Ironman and the triathletes. Does someone just show up and say, I think I'll do an Ironman today? That's not how it works, right? It takes years of practice, of eating right, exercise, running, swimming, and you do it in increments, don't you? Whenever you run any kind of a race, it takes time, baby steps maybe for a lot of people, to get to that place where you can triumph. And so you can look at Jesus' life and our life in a similar way. If you set a goal for yourself, give me a goal that somebody might have set for themselves recently. Josephine. She's giving up sugar. Okay, and what happens when you set that goal right here? Isn't it like everything unlike giving up sugar is in your face? Your neighbors are bringing you everything that's sweet. You smell bakeries all day long. It happens for us. But if we look at those temptations as a way to strengthen our foundation in truth, we will triumph. But most of us want to, in this day and age, triumph now. We don't want to do the work that it takes to achieve our goal, would you say? We want instant gratification. We want to know that we're going to get it, and we're going to get it now. But that's not how it always works. When you meditate in the morning, sometimes your meditations make you feel fabulous, or your prayer work. And sometimes, how do you feel? Anxious and ready to get the day on. The lists are running, and we got to get going, and we got to get it done. And that isn't necessarily laying that firm foundation of truth. And so as we look at those stones and we start to begin laying that firm foundation of spirit, of knowing that God is the source of our supply, there is no adversary except what comes in our mind. And we get to create it. So wouldn't we rather create something more positive, something that will benefit us? And that's what I was thinking about this week, about this Lenten season and giving something up. What if we decided that whatever we decided to let go of, that it really was going to create a space in us for more spiritual growth, more spiritual happiness, to really know that there is a God and to make that connection happen? What if we did that instead and said, okay, I'm just going to stop thinking about all the negativity that's in our world? I know personally I'm happier when I don't watch the news. And then I think, oh, I better watch the news so I know what's going on in the world. And then I go, well, I'm not happy with any of that stuff, so I best be changing the way I think about what's happening in the news. And if we watch those things, the negativity enough, what happens to us? We become a part of race consciousness. And are there terrible things that happen in our world? Yes, there are. But we continue to pray and hold the highest, and to think the thoughts that will manifest the good in our lives and in the lives of others. And if we use Jesus as our way shower, that's what he did. He fasted from food and negative thinking. And he went into the wilderness, which is what we can do every day, going into that quiet space in our mind and our heart, and reconnecting with the God of our being and saying, okay, what will you have me do today? And that's when we hear that still small voice. But it may not happen in meditation, because for me it happens when I'm doing a mindless task somewhere else and I get the inspiration. And it's like, oh, I better pay attention to that thought, because that thought is very important. And that's what we want to do during this whole Lenten season. I mean, Easter is almost upon us. We have 4 weeks until Easter. And everyone goes, what's happening to this year already? It's zip-zapping away. So do we want to be part of the zip and the zap? Being conscious every day of our own spirituality and expressing that out into the world. And to know that we can, in these moments, do that very thing. And so I was thinking about all these different things this week, and knowing that Lent was created many thousands of years ago because the seasons would change. And many of you have probably noticed that the days are getting a little bit lighter, longer. And so Lenten comes from a word that is about springing forth and new life and new light. So if we look at this season as a season of change, how many of you notice all the flowers are blooming already? They absolutely are, the plumeries, and I'm like, well, they're kind of confused with the season because it's already very hot in Kona. And this is our winter time. So we're not having all the rain that we normally have. I saw jacaranda trees blossoming on Palani Road. And I was like, wow, that usually doesn't happen till April. So things are moving forward in a faster kind of way. And we want to be consciously aware of what we're putting into our world and into our day, so that as we create this energy, we're going to see the good that is ahead of us. Because that is what Jesus taught us to do, is to stay in this present moment, be connected, and move forward. And it's our job to do that very thing. And the sunsets have been phenomenal lately, wouldn't you say? Just absolutely beautiful. And yesterday my daughter was on the North Shore of Oahu, because it was my granddaughter's birthday, so she went over there. And it was quiet. Everybody had left kind of the North Shore. So it was very simple, but the waves were still big and it was still beautiful. And so we were reminiscing about when she was little. And we used to go drive out to the North Shore and it wasn't crowded anymore. And now there's long lines of traffic and all that sort of thing. So everything does change. Seasons change, we change. Our perception. Kayla's going to tell us all about that. But we talk about it often. That life is about how we see it. So how are you seeing your life today? Are you willing to make the changes needed in you that are going to bring forth your good? That's what we ask ourselves during this season. And yes, it's a wonderful time. I love Easter. How many of you like Easter? I do. Always have. And this is a time for me for incredible spiritual growth, of setting those goals and, spending a little more time in the quiet, a little more time writing, a little more time reading, and allowing Spirit to guide and direct me to the next steps in this ministry. We've had a lot of change in our ministry in the last few months, haven't we? And I was watching the video that Shannon made for our thrift store, the last days of cleaning and closing, and I was like, that just happened last month. A month ago, we were scurrying around and giving all kinds of things away. And now it's quiet here every day. And I see our customers out and about, and I see our homeless people out and about saying hi. We miss you. We really miss your store. And we all miss each other because we got connected here, didn't we? And now it's like, oh, wait, what are we going to do every day now? We're going to fill it with something else, aren't we? Because that's what we do. When we have a void, we fill it. So why not let go of something this season and let it be filled with Spirit in a greater way, so that when the time comes where you doubt or you have an adversary going on in your mind, you've got the spiritual connection, that God grace in you to say, oh wait, I know what's true here, and that isn't it. Because that's what we want to do. When I was young, I used to go to church every day before school. And because I wanted to take that feeling that I had in church into my world. Because the world didn't look so pretty out there sometimes. So trying to make the best and most and highest of every day started with church. And guess what I substituted with when I was about 14 or so? Boys. I stopped going to church every day because I needed to have connections with friends and people. That became more important to me in high school. How about you? Would I still do my work? Yes, but not to the degree I did before I wanted to have friends. So it's interesting how we change our life to fit our circumstance. So I invite you this week to take time to really ponder what it is that can allow you to grow in a greater spiritual way. And it doesn't mean you have to put on a monk's robe or a nun's habit or anything like that, but just allow that inner voice to call you and tell you, this is your next step. This is what we're going to do together. And to truly know that you are never alone, that God is always with you, however you see God, no matter what is happening in our outer world. We are willing participants. And so we look at Jesus' life as our way shower. And he set the example for us to follow. Was it perfect? Was his life perfect? No, it was very short. And he died a horrible death. But the focus of unity, which I loved more than anything when I came, was we focus on the rising up and that transformation that happens in every one of us when we face a difficulty and we rise above it. So that's what we're going to do this Lenten season, is allow ourselves to have those difficulties, have them come forth and say, okay, How do I handle this? Show me the way, God. Let's do it. Or I don't want to do it, but still show me the way. That's our opportunity this day. So I invite you to do that, to make it happen for you as you move forward into the season of triumph, because that is what Easter Sunday is, for us to triumph over the things that have blocked us from our best and highest good. Thank you, everyone.